Okay, so now we are going to learn how to multiply numerical fractions. So does anybody remember how to multiply numerical fractions? Yeah, you multiply across, right? And so I'm going to show you two different ways. So one way is you just multiply across. So you do have 4 times 3 is 12. And then 5 times 16 is what? 80. And now you have one single numerical fraction and you reduce it. Okay? So how does 12 over 80 reduce? What's the GCF? Or maybe you list out all the factors. Okay, well, you don't have to divide by the greatest to start off with. So let's think 12 divided by 4 is 3. What's 80 divided by 4? You guys have calculators, just do it.
20.
Oh, that's easy, right? It was 20. That was easy. 3 over 20. Okay? 3 over 20, 3 and 20. There is no number that goes into 3 and 20 besides 1. Those are called relatively prime. They're prime relative to each other. Okay, that's one way you could do it. Now this way, you're making the numbers bigger and then you're simplifying. But what if you simplified before you multiply? And I'll show you what I mean. Like 4, so we'll do 4/5 times 3 over 16. Okay? So isn't 4 2 times 2? And 5 is just 5, right? And then 3 is just 3. And then 16 is 4 and 4. Right? And 2 and 2 both times. Right? So 4 2s. So this is another way. So before you make the numbers all large, you could just write down the factors, and then when you multiply across. You could just make this one large fraction. And so then the 2 crosses off, another 2 crosses off, and then you have 3 over 20, because 5 times 2 times 2 is 20. So that is another way to do it. Okay. So let's go ahead and do B together. So B, you could write any number as a fraction, correct? So 2, you could write that as 2 what? 2 over 1. And then 3 over 1, right? Okay. And so let's just do it. I think sometimes the simpler way is just to multiply numerator, multiply denominator, especially when the number is already so small. So I have 2 times 3 times 1 is 6. And 1 times 4 is 4, which reduces to 3/2. Okay. So I showed you how to do A and B. I would think based off, I'm sorry, what? Isn't F the same thing? Wasn't it the same thing as B though, just bigger numbers? Yeah, we could go ahead and do F. So probably in this one, I'm going to break it down into factors, okay? So like 9 is 3 times 3. And 5 would just be 5. And 15 is what, 5 times 3? And 27, I probably need to do a tree for that one. Let's see, 27 is 9 times 3, and that's 3 times 3, right? So it's 3 times 3 times 3. And so since you're multiplying, you could just make this one large fraction and then just cancel out like terms. So 5 by 3, 5 by another 3, 5 to the 5s, 5 to the 3s, and you're left with 1 over 3. See how that's much simpler to break it down, cancel before you multiply? Otherwise, you'd end up with whatever 15 times 9 is over 27 times 3 times 5. Pretty large fractions to reduce. Okay? So we did A, B, and F together. I want you to try C, D, and E yourself. And then when you're finished, you should get those answers. Okay? So go ahead and try.